Greetings, Counter Slammers. Welcome to another model review. This week I want to take a look at a model that I know a lot of people have been talking about on the forums. They want to know how it plays, so I thought I would get a chance to talk about it. And that is the Throne of Everblight. So the Throne of Everblight is the battle engine for, of course, the Everblight, and it's got some pretty impressive skills and abilities. And I think it's actually a lot of fun to play. It's very intimidating looking on the board. I know because of its height, it's so tall that you know, a lot of people, when they see it, they tend to get they tend to overthink it. You know, I think it's actually a good distraction piece, honestly, for a lot of people, because they tend to see it and they think it's probably way more powerful than it really is. But although it still has a lot of synergies and does a lot of really cool things, so get a chance to see my model and the color scheme that I used. I put some shredders on the base there. I thought it would be a kind of a cool addition, as well as the red paint scheme, which is a little more unusual than what you would normally see from other people who have painted theirs. They tend to usually look white or blue, but as many of you have seen my various models, a lot of times you can see the red paint scheme with red, black, and gold. I tend to think it looks pretty cool for Legion. So anyway, so let's get into his stats and see what the fuss is all about, shall we? So the Throne, of course, it costs 9 points and has, it looks like 24 hit boxes, so it's pretty survivable. It can take a few hits, and it's a speed 5, which is pretty normal for most of the battle engines, I think, and strength 10, so pretty strong. It has a mat 7, which means it can hit pretty regularly. A rat 1, which doesn't come into play at all because it doesn't have any ranged attacks. It has a defensive 10, which again, pretty standard for most battle engines, and armor 19, which is actually pretty good. Its command is 10, and it's immune to cold attacks. It's immune to so it can't be made stationary and things like that. And it also has terror, which is kind of nice because, which means during your enemy's activation, if a model that doesn't have, you know, fearless and it comes within 2 inches of it, has to make a command check. But on its turn, if it's within 4 inches, they have to make a command check. And the reason why is because during its activation, it actually has a 4-inch reach, which we'll get into his abilities here in a second. So he actually has 3 initial melee attacks. It says all with reach, and they're tentacles. They're power and strength of 15, so he can make 3 of those attacks per turn. That's pretty good. Now, in the abilities, it's a battle wizard, which this little guy on top here, which you can see is actually going to be the battle wizard, I'm going to guess. So once per turn, when it destroys an enemy with a melee attack, it can immediately cast one of its spells. And we'll get into its spells here in just a second. But it has circular vision. It's got 360-degree vision. And it has an ability called the Feeding. It says when it destroys a living enemy model with a melee attack, it basically gets a corpse token. And he can use the corpse tokens to boost to hit or damage rolls, but he can't use them to buy extra attacks. And with a 4-inch reach, I can kind of see why, because otherwise you can run this guy into an entire unit of infantry and he can literally just eat the entire unit. So I think to kind of make it so it's not quite so powerful, they didn't make it where you can buy extra attacks with the corpses. You can just use them to boost. So, and of course he can hold on to those corpses later on. He doesn't have to spend them immediately. Another interesting thing about this model, a lot of people don't realize, and they don't believe it, I have to show them the card every time, is that it has flight. Now, I take that to mean that it just kind of steps over everything without necessarily crushing other models, but they don't have a word for that, so they just gave it flight. Now, it would be interesting to see a cartoon or a movie of this thing and actually seeing it flying in the air. I figure it spins like a helicopter or something kind of funny, but but it does have flight, so it can go over models, which is really nice too, which I know a lot of battle engines can't do, but this one can. And so the other thing it has is gross anatomy. It says during its activation, this model can spend corpse tokens to heal damage. So for each corpse token you spend, you can remove D3 damage from this model. So it can heal itself with the corpses that it takes into, which is a really nice ability. You know, even though it has armor 19, there are plenty of things that can, you know, of course, crush armor 19, 24 hitboxes in one turn pretty easily. But for those who do a lot of damage and then don't get to kill it, it gets a chance to kill some infantry models and heal itself. Its 2 spell abilities that work well with the battle wizard effect is the first one called Frostbite. It's a star attack, and Frostbite is a range spray 8 magic attack, and models hit suffer a POW 12 cold damage roll. So again, if they have immunity to cold, which isn't too many things in the game, but if they have immunity to cold, of course, it won't do anything. But it is a POW 12 range 8 spray, which is pretty nice. And magic ability is 7, so it hits just as reliably as its melee attacks. The other attack that it has is Spine Burst, also again a star attack. Spine Burst is a range 10 POW 10 magic attack. If the target models hit, then D3 nearest models within 5 inches also suffer a POW 10 magic damage roll. So, which really works well if you've got a bunch of infantry close together. You can get a chance to. So this kind of makes up, I think, for him not being able to just eat an entire unit with 4-inch reach in his turn. He gets a chance to get one, cast a spell, do the Spine Burst, hit a bunch more, than whatever's left he can kind of snack on. So he can remove quite a few models. So he can hit 4 models with the Spine Burst, then he gets 3 attacks. So you're talking he can take out about 7 models per turn with that particular spell, and if he gets all the attacks off successfully. So his other thing that he has is, of course, the 4-inch reach, as I mentioned during his activation. And then for the he's got a chain. His tentacles are chain weapons, which means they ignore bucklers and shield weapon qualities or shield wall. So how does it play? It's nice for its stats. I think it's a fantastic model. Honestly, as the case with most battle engines, I think this one is much more about clearing infantry. It seems like a lot of the large base, the Colossals and the battle engines tend to be more about getting rid of infantry more so than getting rid of heavies and things like that. Although he is capable, if you can boost his strength, he's capable of doing some serious damage to a heavy. But I really like this model. I think it's a very fun model to play. I'll admit I don't take it as much as I probably should, but it is, like I said, it's an intimidating piece to put on the board. When people see it, I just think it's because of its height. It really draws attention. So you can actually use this model, I think, a lot of times to draw people away, attention away on the field. Like you're trying to get your caster up this way to get the other person's caster. You can take this sucker around this way, and they'll follow that thing because it's massive. And most people don't really know what it does because a lot of people don't play it. But you know, in a faction where you know we're very beast heavy, or we tend to run a lot of infantry, you don't tend to see many of the battle engines on the field, at least not here in our local meta. But this one is one of the ones that is, I think, superb to take, and when it works, it really works, and your opponent really learns to respect it, and it just eats infantry right off the table. It's fantastic. I honestly can't say enough about it. You know, especially with, you know, you get a corpse, you eat something, cast Battle Wizard, cast the Spine Burst, and use that first token to hit the model it's going after. Then it's just cash after that. So what's awesome about this model is the casters I really like to run it with. First and foremost is Rias. Of course, everyone knows Rias is my favorite Legion caster. But battle engines can be placed, unlike Colossal. So with her feet, when it runs in and it damages something 4 inches away, it can jump base to base. So the look on your opponent's face, by the way, when this happens, is priceless every single time. So you move it up, you charge something, hit something 4 inches away, it jumps base to base, and it's got its other attacks, and it can still attack 4 inches away. It really shocks people, but it's a ton of fun to do. Other casters that work really well with it, I think the Thane of Belphegor is one of the best ones, mainly because of the feat turn again on that. For the Thane, all melee attack damage rolls are boosted to hit and boosted damage, so that also goes with the Spine Burst. So that's one thing that's really nice. So his spray and things like that are all boosted hit, boosted damage rolls. So again, it makes this thing just a monster, an absolute monster when it gets into combat. Fantastic model. The other ones, of course, you get P-Thags, can give it Draconic Blessing. There are plenty of other casters too, and if you have a particular caster or know some synergies that you really like with this model, feel free to listen in the comments below. But I'm telling you what, it's as far as battle engine goes, it's solid. It's really good, and I think it's probably one of the better ones, honestly. Some people would say it's probably the second best next to the Menoth one, and I would probably agree with that, honestly. The Menoth one is really hard to beat. Of course, we're still waiting for the Convergence one to come out at this point in time. So, and that one looks really sick too. So I'm going to guess that one's going to be really good. But anyway, this is that's the Throne of Everblight. Like I said, if you know some synergies that you really like to use it with, feel free to let our viewers know in the comment section. I'm sure they'd like to know how to use this sucker as well. Again, it's 9 points, worth every bit of it if you ask me, and it's just super intimidating on the board, and it can cause havoc in your opponent's life. So, and what Legion player doesn't like that to happen? So. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the model review, and hopefully get a chance to see more of these suckers on the table. You know, when I go to cons, things like that, it'd be really cool to see. So, I guess until next time, we'll see you guys on the next episode of Counterslam.